Welcome to the Breaks Interstate Park. Breaks Interstate Park is administered by the states of Virginia and Kentucky for your enjoyment. It is preserved and dedicated to the understanding of the natural forces that form these mountains and stock them with resources for man's pleasure and enrichment. Facilities were built for your convenience. Use them wisely, that they may serve you and many who will follow you. Okay. Formation of the breaks. About 200 million years ago, this area was covered by a vast inland sea, which caused layers of sediment, mud, and sand to be formed and hardened. Later forces under the surface pushed these layers upward, forming parallel ridges. Although erosion slowly wore those ridges flat, a second upheaval created the present height and appearance of the land. The wearing away is a continuous process that can be seen from the Overlook as the Russell Fork River keeps cutting through the rock to deepen the canyon even more. Elevation here is 1,730 feet. Breaks Interstate Park towers Overlook. Russell Fork, for most of its length, follows the Russell Fork Fault, which is the northeastern border of the Cumberland Overthrust Block, a 125-mile long, 15 to 25-mile wide shingle of strata formed during the last Appalachian orogeny mountain building episode. The fault is a strike slip and nearly vertical, with upwards of 5 miles of movement on either side. Here at the towers, however, Russell Fork has left a trace of the fault and instead follows fractures in the rocks. Eroding along these fractures, the river has formed an entrenched meander. Note the similarity to meanders such as formed by the Mississippi River. This meander is in solid rock, however, as opposed to alluvium and soil. The result is the most photographic scene in the Breaks Interstate Park, a palisade of Pennsylvanian-aged sandstone, and most remarked by early visitors. From here to the Kentucky-Virginia state line, Russell Fork has eroded and continues to the Great Gorge with vertical sandstone walls and slender slopes, and siltstone and shale. At the state line, Russell Fork breaks through the Pine Mountain and the Pine Mountain Fault, the northwestern side of the Cumberland Overthrust Block. Note that to the north and the south, the tops of the ridges are the nearby same elevation. This is due to erosion of the relatively flat-lying rocks of this portion of the Appalachian Plateau. Also note that the southern slope of the Pine Mountain to the west, it is a dip slope. In other words, It parallels the bedding of the underlying strata, ramping up the Pine Mountain Fault, and is less dramatic in the northern face of the mountain, which is jagged and near vertical. Due to complications associated with the geological structure, little coal mining was attempted in the gorge vicinity, though one called the Domus Mine operated in the 1930s on the south side of the gorge across the Clinchfield Overlook. Narrative by Tony Scales, geologist and author of the Breaks Canyon of the South. Made possible by a generous contribution from A.M. Smiley Ratliff and the Radcliffe Foundation. Breaks of the Sandy, A.R. Crandall, 1889. Towers, Russell Fork of Sandy Boyd River. Towers, Russell Fork of the Sandy River, Boyd, 1881. Geological formation names, Tony Scales, 2011. See, there's B-Rock Sandstone, Alvey Creek Formation, and Suence Sandstone. Suence Sandstone. Geologic cross-section, state line overlook to the towers. U.S. Geological Survey, 1972.
You see this? This is mountain laurel, which is very particular to this area. And a real interesting thing about these mountain laurel leaves right here, if you're camping out and you take some of those leaves and throw them into the into your campfire, it will pop and sound like popcorn. Now these get beautiful white flowers on them in the spring, and like I said, they're very peculiar to this area. There's a flower that looks like the mountain laurel, and I think it's the rhododendron or something like that. I'm sure when Joanna edits this video, she'll add the right flower in. But like I said, I think it's rhododendron. Formation of breaks. About 200 million years ago,
And right here we have part of the zip line that they have here at the Breaks Interstate Park. Now, just so you know what kind of trail this is, and right now I am partially disabled, so this is rough navigation. So anyone who is needs a wheelchair or other accommodations you will not be able to get onto this very likely. But as you can see, there's the La Vista Fork, and this is the most photographic place in the Breaks Interstate Park.
The towers. The unusual formation before you is a good example of the effect erosion has upon different types of rock. Sandstone, a hard-resistant rock, caps the tops of the towers as well as most of the other ridges here, while a softer, easier weathered rock, shale, is a lower material. The flowing river slowly wore away areas of sandstone in its path to expose the soft shale below, which is quickly eroded. In this manner, the river was able to cut almost vertically downward, leaving the hard rock caps and steep walled canyon behind. Elevation here, 1,680 feet. Towers elevation, 1,665 feet.
Now this is as far as I can go. My husband might be able to get a little bit further than I can.
Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? You can see these rock outcroppings there, there. There's the river that flows through here. Of course, this is actually the wrong time of year to be here. In the fall and winter, like Dr. Andrew Snelling says, in the fall and winter, the biology doesn't cover up the geology too much. That's one of the reasons the Grand Canyon is one of the most studied places in the country. Even though they call this the Grand Canyon of the East, the reason that the Grand Canyon is studied so much is because, as they say, the biology does not cover up the geology in the Grand Canyon. I first thought that these were steps that they made here in this rock, but it's not. Now some of these they put capstones on them to make them safe, but this is actually rock layers that they've cut out to form steps, one layer on top of another. And then you can see where they put some concrete and a few rocks in of their own to make it leveler. But these are, like I said, these are actually rock layers that you're climbing up. And like I was talking about before, where is the erosion between some of this stuff? Now these, so they put concrete and everything in here to make some of these steps, but that next step right there is a solid rock layer. See that? This one they made, that one was there. And you got another one that was there, but they put rocks on top of it to make it level. And it does that all the way up through here. Some of them are natural, some of them they put rock and concrete on top of it to make it more uniform.
We wish to thank everyone for watching our series on the Breaks of the Mountains Interstate Park. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notifications. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries of Appalachian history.